All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man, Jay. Yes, this is the Axon 7 in 2024. Now, this device, a couple of disclaimers. This is a collector's device for me. I fire this up every year, use it for a weekend or a week, or just however long I want to use it. Then I charge it up and I put it away just to make sure everything is functioning and it is still in pristine condition. This was a device 8 years ago that I used every day for, I don't know, a year straight. I don't even know. But this device, with that disclaimer, obviously it's aging pretty well physically and the software is still going good. But, with devices like this, there are some woes. So nonetheless, this is my Axon 7. This is a developer edition. So it has the on-screen buttons. Fingerprint reader still works great. It has the on-screen buttons instead of the physical buttons. A lot of people used to ask me that back in the day, and I would tell them, hey, that's because this is a developer edition, so this is why. This has to be one of the best phones ever made in history of smartphones. That goes right in line with the HTC M8, M7. This is right up there with those, if not better. Now, this device, when it launched 8 years ago, I've had this device for 8 years in my possession, and I still have the original case that goes with it. I stored in this case. I don't have the box or anything, but I stored in this case. Things like this are hard to come by. Someone asked me, would I ever sell this? And the answer is absolutely not. So this is the Axon 7. This device, 8 years ago, had a 5.5-inch quad issue display with just super front firing speakers, a 20 megapixel camera that just lit up the world. Yeah, it was just the one. Now it had 4 gigs of RAM and a Snapdragon 820 with a 3,250 milliamp hour battery back then. So 8 years ago, you think about how old you were. Because there's a lot of younger generation that follows me, but then there's also people that's my age and older. But 8 years ago, what were you doing? If you've never seen the Axon 7 in real life before, you don't even know what this is. This is a phone that was way ahead of its time that could compete with current devices, like for today. This design, everything, I love it still. You see, you got a headphone jack, you got the single 20 megapixel camera on the back, you got the fingerprint reader, you got the LED flash. I mean, I am going to keep this in pristine condition. Type-C. You got your SIM tray over there, your volume rocker, and your power. And this has got to be one of the devices that I just loved using every day. Now, I am on Android 8, I believe, and I did a video back in the day to show people how to put their device on Android 8. I used to root and do things like that back in the day and flash ROMs. But yeah, this is 4 gigs of RAM, Android 8, Android security patch, July 2018. That is the last time this got support, 6 years ago. And it's unfortunate that, that they dropped the ball on this and didn't want to go forward with it any longer. And ZTE turned out to be the company that they've turned out to be. That is unfortunate because there are so many devices out there that are prototypes that never get released. And this device right here wasn't just a prototype. It came to fruition. This is a beautiful device in person. Do you see how beautiful this display is? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a 5.5-inch 1440 by 2560 display. And this is 16 by 9, so everything is going to look great on here. That's 538 pixels per inch. This is really good. So this has 64 gigs of storage. So back then, storage was the same. It wasn't like it is. It's kind of the same now, where they were giving like these powerful phones with low storage. Several manufacturers still do this. But this 8 years ago, 64 gigs was like, whoa. So this has dual band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.2, 32-bit audio. That's Dolby Atmos with the stereo 2 dedicated speakers here. And it records in 4K 30. See, there's some things that probably will just never, ever get old. And this being one of them, I mean, if you look at these settings here, This was just it, man. This was something to write home about at some point. You know, this was like, whoa. At that time, we're talking about 8 years ago. 8 years ago. There's a lot to love. This phone was so good. You know how current day I talk about using the iPhone and the phone I'm recording with, which is the Galaxy S24 Ultra. There are some phones, I just use them regularly to record on the channel. This was a phone that I vlogged with because the front camera on this device is better than some rear cameras. At that time, excuse me, I'm drinking coffee too. Sony had phones back in the day, if you remember, if you're old enough, you remember Sony's front cameras were geared towards people who like to vlog and you wanted a viewfinder. So they were making the front cameras better than the rear. Now, I'm not saying this front camera is better than the rear camera, but this 8 megapixel camera on the front was really good and is really good. And I say was because of the time that it was being used, everybody was in awe. Let me show, I think I might have some videos on here of me using this back in the day. Yeah, that's right here at this house, actually. This video, turn the ringer down. Wow. This is video from the front. This is ridiculous, man. This is stellar video. And over video, you'll never get the gist of it. But these cameras on here, I just think we're way ahead of their time. Way ahead of their time. Just the quality that comes from these cameras. Vlogging with this phone was so sweet, man. It was so good. I mean, I don't have to go too far into detail with it, but I can tell you that this was and is one of my most favorite devices. Now, there are some other devices that I won't disclose yet that are in the top 10 that I will put even above this device. There's one device, if you've been following me long enough, you know what I rank above this device. I just can't find one. I shouldn't have sold mine, but I can't find one that is, and if I get one, I'll bring it back, but I can't find one that is pure nostalgia. It's not as old as this device, but still, I rank this second to that device. But I'm just in awe that I still have this device. Now, it's not all roses. Obviously, I know you see what's happening as I'm recording this video. If you're paying attention, the battery's dropping pretty fast. That is the only woe that I would have an issue with this device with is the battery. I actually charged it to 100 before this video, and as soon as I took it off the charger, it dropped to 99 within a matter of 2 minutes. And so I put it back on the charge. I said, you know what, forget it. That's a woe for this. This device is 8 years old. I think about if I were still trying to use this daily. There are people out there that use this daily that they've had their battery replaced once already, or maybe even twice. But I just, collector devices, I just choose to use them for a weekend or maybe a week just to make sure everything is functional. I literally put my SIM card in there, make phone calls with it. And when I take out collector devices, if I take them out in public or whatever, I typically have a battery pack with me so I can plug in and charge it, because I know most of them won't last like a full 14, 15 hours. So I'll just carry a battery pack with me. So when it's not in use, plug it up, keep it on the charge, just keep it charging. But that is the only woe that I've found from this device that just makes me say, man, if this battery could hold up for 2 days, I would totally use this. I could deal with the old things that are not updated. Like, look at my inbox. Remember inbox/Gmail? They took away inbox. I used to love inbox. They took it away. I purposely have this phone to set to not automatically update, and I have it set to manually update, and I choose what I want to update. So that's why you still see the old Twitter, the old Instagram. I think the Instagram just updated. I updated that one, I believe. Now, it might be the older one. But you still see some of these things that are the older icons. Like, look at the messaging app. Like, some of these are ZTE things. Like, but I don't believe that. I still have Fun Run on this phone. That game has been discontinued for so long. It's a shame. I used to do themes because I had Nova Launcher on here. It's just a whole bunch on here that is I just leave it as is. Like, it's so strange to see some of these things like this. And some of these apps aren't even available on Android anymore. Layout isn't available on Android anymore. It's only available on iOS. But nonetheless, I really enjoy having some collector devices that still work. So if you have an Axon 7 and you're using it regularly still after all these 8 years, I would love to hear from you in the comments. How many times have you had your battery replaced? If you've had your battery replaced. Yeah, if you've had your battery replaced. This is all still the original. Let me double check that, because this is a developer edition. And some people were asking me about my storage. Yeah, it's the 64 gigs. There's some Chinese versions that had 128 gigs. And this was a developer edition that came over to me via ZTE. I did purchase the device, but I ended up selling those ones that I purchased. So phones like this, man, are phenomenal. Let me play something to show you just how beautiful these speakers are.
A lot of you guys are talking about the update that you don't have it yet. And so only thing I can tell you is that if you have a 7th gen Mustang, you can get this update.
Speakers on this thing are just incredible.
This car. And if you have a 24 Mustang, let me know. We can.
And you also get a look at this beautiful display. We're talking about 8 years ago for a 1440p display. This is way up there at the top of the food chain. So I think I'll continue to say this. I'll come back at a 10-year mark with this device. This will be probably one of the few devices that I've had this long that I will be willing to use still, no matter what year it is. So again, if you have one of these devices, I think it's more than just a throwback Thursday for me. The nostalgia behind some of these, like, it's just incredible. I showed you recently one of the best devices that I could bring back is this bad boy right here. I mean, just nuts. Just nuts. Such a nostalgic device. And it works. Bought it brand new. It's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. The Axon 7 is still, believe it or not, I feel it's still a force to be reckoned with, no matter what year it will be. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.